Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Fluid Fan Podcast. You know me, Angela Ruggiero, the CEO and co-founder of Sports Innovation Lab. As the leading sports market research firm, we sit at the intersection of sports and tech, helping our clients create breakthrough fan experiences through technology. If you've been following us, we've spent over 4 years collecting data, really defining what innovation means for the industry. That's why we've produced this podcast to help inform you. We love to help, again, the industry better understand technology, better understand how technology is changing fan behavior. That's really at the core of what we do. Do that through leadership boards, advisory work, and some custom data-driven dashboards. So if you want to learn more about us and what we do, and in particular, our latest research initiative around the Fan Project. If you've been under a rock and haven't seen our news, Fan Project report went live. That research is all around the business opportunity for women's sports. And there's a massive opportunity out there, a different business model. You got to understand your consumer first, and then back into the right strategy, the right business to drive engagement across the women's market. Go to thefanproject.co or our website, sportsilab.com. All right, so today I'm joined by my good friend, John Coombs, the CEO and co-founder of Rover. John's going to talk all about fan engagement, the second screen experience for fans, how a mobile app can elicit the behaviors that we talk about each and every day. So gotten to know him through our leadership board for a few years now. He's a big advocate for what we're doing, and really, I think, understanding how technology is changing the sports landscape, why we need to build more people and capabilities to execute on the vision. So John and I will talk about how he founded Rover, some of the case studies and activations that his app is helping the world with. And at the end of the interview, John will share some big news on what lies ahead for Rover. So let's jump right into my conversation today with John Coombs, the CEO and co-founder of Rover. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Fluid Fan Podcast. I am with, as you has just heard, John Coombs, CEO and co-founder of Rover. John, thank you for being our latest guest on the podcast.
Great to be here, Angela. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're really excited for this conversation. First, I think a lot of people are going to go, what's Rover? I want you to define Rover for us. I know, working with you over many years, You started 2014, you built this company from scratch. You help sports teams and app publishers create engaging mobile content and campaigns. And so at the highest level, that's what you do. But walk us through Rover itself, because I think we'll get into you personally, but the providing some context and lens into this really cool technology that you've built.
Yeah, for sure. Give you a kind of context about Rover is we really, we focus on the mobile app, and what the product does is really centered in that sort of tech ecosystem. And traditionally, the app is something that is powerful, it's data rich, it sort of creates a lot of opportunities for us to connect with our fans and our end users, but it's a highly engineering dependent ecosystem. So if you want to be iterative and you want to create fan experiences or engage your audiences in an app, you're going to have iOS and Android developers and go through a whole host of technical product processes. So what Rover's all about is making that less technical dependent. The Rover platform is really a means for any app publisher, sports or otherwise, to create engaging content for their audiences and connect with them and tie that to data, and not have to sort of lean on an engineering team to do that. It's kind of a theme you're seeing with a lot of tech. It's this sort of no code movement where marketers and brands are being empowered with technology that allows them to sort of own their destiny and their content strategy without needing to go through the time and the resources all the time for with engineering. And so we don't build apps, we don't sort of replace your roadmap, but when you look at an app, there's specific times we might want to engage or create content opportunities. Game day, going into the playoffs. These are sort of the areas where we exist, is providing some flexibility in a traditionally technically heavy ecosystem.
Yeah. So you get it at a high level, you want to activate, do more, create more engaging content. You would come in and without having to learn the coding or hire the team, you guys are there for the industry. So how did you come up with this idea? Again, I'm take a step back on you, John, and
Mhm.
you've got an interesting background, but I'm always curious with entrepreneurs or people that have built companies. You had to have seen a need in the market, obviously, to go in this direction. How did you come to this idea? Give us a little bit about your background and how you came to founding Rover.
Yeah. Well, my background and my co-founder's background some time ago was in the loyalty industry. So we spent a lot of time, working with retailers and brands on customer loyalty, which traditionally was, points based. So reward people with points based on purchase behavior and things they do.
Which I'm obsessed
As
with, by the way, because I fly a lot. So I love your, anyway.
they're powerful, they're powerful indeed. They're powerful
You get me.
psychological mechanisms of behavior change. Your world, so you should be, right? So yeah, I mean, so I was doing that for both a large and a small company, working in that space. And one of the things that we sort of saw coming down the pike here was, what does this mean for mobile? Like, sure, I'm going to have a card and I'm going to swipe that and earn points or enter my card number when I book a flight or things like that. But is loyalty really, do the boundaries of loyalty end and start with points, or is there more to it? And increasingly, as we were in that industry and having conversations, a lot of brands were really looking at loyalty as customer experience. And when you get into customer experience, you very quickly get into mobile experience. So the earliest foundation of Rover was helping brands engage their customers on mobile in a way that improved that customer journey. One of the things when we started out was we were doing a lot with location technology. So the idea was really the first sort of MVP of Rover was, if you're in a store, and we know you're in a store, what sort of app experience should you get? Because it's not the same as browsing for product on your couch. So our really sort of foundation was looking at Rover as a means for brands to create a better customer experience on mobile and in store. It initially didn't really have anything to specifically do with sports.
That's so interesting. Just again, thinking about the fan experience and thinking about the consumer first, it sounds like have worked in an industry that gets how do you activate and engage. And then like, again, I'm a frequent flyer, so I'm obsessed with how do I,
Yeah.
engage with a airline. I mean, wouldn't typically think, but they have me hooked in some ways, playing the game, wanting those extra points, spending money on like, I don't know, meals just so I can hit that level.
Yeah.
So you, again, which is really fascinating to me always when I find people that are come outside of sports, observe a behavior, observes a behavioral need, and then activate that in sports. Walk us through then some of the case studies that you've been able to do with Rover. Again, just having that background, and who's your co-founder again?
My co-founder's name's Sean Rucker. He's he's our CTO, so technical co-founder. We've known each other for some time, and
Awesome.
we started the company and built a team around it.
Yeah, no, great company again. Really been fun getting to know you and what you're up to at Rover, and seeing some of the activations that you've actually done. One of my favorites is this being a hockey player, and I hear the Canadian on your twang as well. The Vancouver Canucks, right?
Right.
This scavenger hunt. I'm like, this is really cool. These digitally savvy fans, you're giving them a way to. Well, I'll let you explain it, but the Vancouver Canucks scavenger hunt activations, one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, really, going back to where I guess I started with describing the company, we do two things, right? One, we make the app this less rigid ecosystem that's dependent on engineering. So now if I'm in that case, the Canucks, I can create content in my app and activations with these. We marry that with some powerful data and segmentation. So we have integrations with like Ticketmaster and some other sort of sources of data truth that allow these activations to be tied to specific attributes of the fan and where they are in their fan journey. We apply that to sort of three core like
And sorry, when you
ROI.
say the fan journey, that's location based too. That's, are you sitting at home? Are you at the venue?
Yeah, could be a lot of those things. I mean, increasingly, I would say ticketing data is a better indicator of, are you at the game? As, not to get too technical, but as Apple sort of ratchets back location permissions, we're increasingly looking at other points of truth for
Yeah.
where you are at in that fan journey. But certainly there's that
I think that's
distinction.
interesting though, because we talk a lot about on this podcast and with the company in general of this 24/7, 365. You don't just show up. We're not really in an events-based business anymore, even though, tickets are a major source of revenue. You're a fan all the time. And you're trying to actually peel back that onion a bit through this platform to help you activate outside of just the venue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think to that point, similar, a lot of tech companies, e-commerce companies, they look at lifetime value of a customer. They look at the customer journey. They look at basket size. They're looking at a lot of metrics. A lot of those are not, a lot of those are certainly very relevant to the world of sport, looking at the lifetime value, which is not just about me coming in and purchasing something. It's my path to purchase. It's my journey. It's my basket size. It's when do I repeat, right? So I think a lot of those sort of tenets of e-commerce and product companies really apply to sports. When we look at the 365, there's monetization opportunities, but there's experiential opportunities too. We as sports brands, we want to make sure that that journey is not just game day, to your point, but also it is something that can create opportunities for the brand and for the sports team in terms of their monetization strategy beyond just the ticket sale and the concession sales.
As we say at Sports Innovation Lab, we like to help our clients create breakthrough fan experiences through technology. And you certainly, that's pretty much what you're doing with your platform. So you work with over 100 brands and teams. You're global in obviously hitting on different, again, use a case study or two. So those that haven't maybe the technical background or just want to understand, like, how do you then go to market and work with your partners?
Yeah. So if you think of the app, you've got like, already you're going to have things like scores and articles and sort of content that is fed similar to the web. But obviously the app is a mobile platform. It's one that's moving and it can reflect the state of the fan and their experience, unlike the desktop experience. So applications of our product are really to take those moments in that journey and create value for both the fan and for the team. So on game day, it's very common for, our teams to do like a game preview. Here's who to watch. This is the game. Like, we're getting excited about that. Oftentimes that will include a participatory element, like a fan poll. Who's going to score first? What do you expect the outcome to be? And they'll use the platform to create this interactive mobile first sort of guide to the game. During the game, you might have a sort of a second screen type component where we'll engage, they'll engage fans either again with maybe something like trivia or polling to have the fans participate in that game. And then after the fact, like, certainly common in the UK in the Premier League, player of the game, man of the match and things like that. And then, to your point, on a quiet Tuesday, what are we doing? How are we engaging fans at that point? So Trivia Tuesday is a common application of the product. The scavenger hunt piece is certainly another application where it's, bridging the digital and the physical, getting fans into the community, finding things, participating with partners, and again, creating a fan experience, which is getting out into the community, finding a puck and scanning it or something like that, but also driving foot traffic to a partner location.
So you said a lot of behaviors in there, and we, as you know, as sitting on one of our leadership board members, we talk a lot about behaviors. You're not just talking about engagement. We break that up literally and by behavior. And you're seeing these behaviors, you're activating these behaviors. What are some behaviors that spike in terms of your users or the industry at large, what they're looking for when they come to their mobile phone, when they're want to activate with and interact with their teams? What are the behaviors that you're building more experiences against?
Yeah. we obviously we have a product that can enable lots of different experiences, but any engagement with the team starts with sort of a discovery around what's moving, what moves the needle, what are you looking to do. A good example of that is kind of arrive early. A lot of clubs are looking to have fans get to the game early, starting their game day journey earlier. Obviously, that has the benefits of F&B sales, et cetera. So it's quite common for a team, for example, to use our Ticketmaster integration, knowing that a subset of their app users are coming to the game. They know that they have tickets. Hey, we've got these offers. We come and start your game day earlier with us, rather than going off platform, as it were, to a bar or something. Come to the venue. There's lots to see and do. Get there early. The arrive early theme is certainly something that is a direct behavior that we see often being influenced using the product.
Do you see co-watching as a big one that we've seen a big spike in, especially during the pandemic? Fans in our recent report, the Fan Project, that was actually the number one behavior that spiked. Learning was also for fans of women's sports. They're obsessed with learning about the athlete, learning about the team, trying to understand the rules, trying to dive more into the people that are the performers, the athletes themselves. Like, anyway, have you seen this an equal spike in interest from the team saying, "Hey, how do we bring more fans onto this platform together, or how do we give them more information via this platform?" Or what are the kinds of conversations that you get in these discovery? Just again, curious what in aggregate what teams are asking you for.
A common theme during COVID was what can we do to recreate the in-venue game day experience in the absence of fans? That was obviously a challenge we all faced with, because there was revenue implications, and there was just maintaining a fandom in a difficult climate. So a lot of the things that we saw were, how do we create like this virtual venue experience? How do we bring some of the things that we know and love from attending a game or a venue to the hands and the experience of a fan who can't be there? We did a lot of things around bringing some activations that were traditionally, in venue only. Like, you've seen things like the fry shuffle or the car race, who's gonna win voting, those participatory on digital signage type of activations being brought into the phone, so that the fan can still participate in things that were reflective of the venue experience. We saw a lot of trying to bring a lot of the media that you would see by being at the game. So like practice, warm-ups, that kind of stuff, bringing that video and some of that curated content into the app, so that it's, a destination for, I'm sitting courtside before the game starts and having that experience. So I think that was a big theme. I also find it, very interesting and not surprising, to be honest, that a lot of those virtual venue type experiences are not going away as fans return. I think there's something we've all been talking about. I know Sports Innovation Lab has talked about this, is, you've got your 20,000 people that can get in venue, and you may have 800,000 fans who wish they could be there. So, why limit ourselves to just that physical audience? And I think that's why a lot of some of these successful experiences around a virtual venue are going to continue.
No, I couldn't agree more. Just this massive digital transformation that occurred during COVID, and some groups are already there, but the industry at large, I think, woke up and said, okay, if I literally can't sell tickets, and to your point, think Tokyo Olympics. No one's going to be in the stands, maybe a small percentage of local residents, but that brand is still big. It's still global. It's still in your house and in your homes and on your phone. I'm just curious, with this digital transformation, and you have endless growth if you go that direction versus in venue, how are you, what are the lasting effects then, I guess, is my question, post-pandemic, that you think we'll see because of the pandemic that accelerated change, and any high level thinking around where the industry is headed as a result?
I think, I would say I see what was an accelerant to three pillars of change that were already in the works. I think, one of those is digital adoption and the recognition that digital presents net new opportunities. So it's not just about taking fan experiences and sponsorships and just putting them on a phone or on a screen. It's about recognizing that by virtue of the phone's mobility and the data that exists on the phone, we can do net new things. So it's not like taking something and slapping it on a different device. It's recognizing that there's net new opportunities. And so
that's a really good point though. Like, cause I see a lot of, oh, we'll take our linear feed and just put it on this smaller screen, or, oh, I see this.
Yeah.
And like, you're shrinking it and you're like, that's kind of a subpar experience versus what you're saying is the functionality of the phone itself. Like, let's not forget how powerful this device is. And it's net new versus anyway, I just want to underscore that point.
Design for sure. Yeah. Design and think for the platform is really important. It's, as you mentioned, it's quite apparent when something is just slapped in a new channel without a recognition of the nuances of what that channel presents and creates as far as opportunities. So that, and I think, the notion of like just data and personalization is something, another trend that was accelerated, I would say. You've got a lot of teams pre-pandemic were talking about sort of the view of the fan and sort of understanding that fan and the data that exists around that. And I think that as well is something that, again, going more digital, being forced to go more digital inherently comes with more data and more means of understanding and segmenting and personalizing. And I think that's definitely another trend that.
So let's not jump past that, because that's like, we're obsessed with data, as you know, at Sports Innovation Lab. You have to understand your consumer, your fan. Why is that so important, again, in your opinion, before we get to your third point, that like you're going to design differently, you're going to think about partnerships differently. We say data all the time, but in your opinion, like, why is that so powerful to have that information at your fingertips?
Yeah, I mean, I would, the short answer is, I think if you look at, going back to my comment about sort of tech companies and how they view their businesses, I mean, I think it's not that dissimilar. When we look at data, we can understand like, what are the inflection points when a consumer spends or engages? You get down the rabbit hole of like propensity modeling and understanding what are the triggers or what indicate a fan's likely next step behavior or preference. I think that if you look at those technology industries who have done a great job and on the whole of understanding how data can translate to mutual value being for team and for fan, that's a great indicator of why it matters. Specifically, there's a lot of the data value that's done today in sports very much resides in ticketing. That's where a lot of the data talent and data budget lives. But there's a lot of room to expand beyond the world of just ticketing when it comes to data and analysis. And a practical and tactical example that we see happening more and more is splitting mobile experience for season ticket holders versus not. I mean, I get mailed a nice little kit when I buy my season ticket packages, and that's cute and beautiful, and I love that. It's tangible. But when it comes to my digital experience, there's not too much of a differentiation between me just being, a one game a year fan versus somebody who's high spending. And we're seeing that tangibly take place, that I'm speaking now in the digital platforms because the app is so data rich and we know you're a season ticket holder. Let's treat you as such and make your game day experience equally as powerful on mobile, as it might be in the physical sense.
Again, that point I think is really interesting because, again, as increasingly there's more fans are outside of the venue, global fans, fluid fans, as we call them, that are coming in and out and may buy a ticket, may not, but that like personalization that you can reach them anywhere, but that you understand them. I think at the root of it, it's the question we've been asked more than anything else, like, who is my fan? And your point about, well, why would you treat the season ticket holder versus the casual, but maybe potentially diehard, fan down the line, but this like more fluid fan, you need to just understand who they are. And anyway, I love your thinking around this. It's again, this outside in thinking that I was always appreciate of, how are we changing the mold within sports. All right, I cut you off. What's your third point? You mentioned high level trends that we're going
Sure.
to see after post pandemic.
Yeah, I think this one's kind of universally applicable. And again, something that was already in the works pre-pandemic, but it's just this sort of idea that almost pretty much every company is a tech company. Every company is a product company. And inherent in that is internal talent and DNA that can thrive in that ecosystem. So the days of like, a lack of diversity in terms of talent and other attributes in the sports organization, I think are very numbered for a whole host of reasons. But specifically as it relates to product and technology, I think, this is like, you got to be able to speak this language, and at least, you can lean on other partners, and you shouldn't be building technology from scratch, but you should be very literate and capitalizing on these opportunities, because other industries are doing so and investing in that in a big way. And at the end of the day, you're competing against mind share and share of wallet.
Totally.
So you got to be there. You got to be apt from a technology perspective. And that means, how do I think about product? What are the implications from a technology perspective? How do I choose a vendor effectively and, be able to delineate between a beautiful deck and an actual substantive, impactful product?
Yep.
You have to have that. And so, investments in the types of people that I think are brought into sports teams will accelerate and should.
Yeah, no, I love it. That's why we started the company. Honestly, if we could demystify technology and help the industry better understand products and solutions that actually fit their needs, and or help them see the opportunity in the market. I couldn't agree more. It's great to see so many more bodies being hired that have this background that can build out this sports ecosystem to be a technology ecosystem, is what I think I hear you saying. And again, we're really trying to shift the industry away from, again, this event based, just ticket based point in time industry into like, you're a media business, always on 24/7. You're a data business now. You're a tech business. The bigger groups that exist in some of our research, they get that, and they're building technology experiences against that to appease these fluid fans. So love those 3 points. Certainly interesting in terms of where you sit and how you see the future of sports headed. Any other specific changes that you're seeing within because of the pandemic, or accelerated changes? Again, the mobile app market, is it, from your perspective, or even from your company, how do you see the industry interacting with Rover differently in the future? Like, what are some of the changes that you personally have been able to do within Rover as a result of just how the consumer base is changing?
Yeah, I think that, in going back to what I was saying earlier about sophistication, I think in our early days, what we were offering wasn't so much, it was difficult perhaps to understand. And once we started working with a customer, they would, okay, like, yes, the lights are really starting to go on. And I think now, as you look at the composition of a lot of the sports teams that we work with, there's more folks that are there that are coming to us with ideas that are like becoming essentially tech leaders within their industry, and bringing really creative ideas to the table that, it makes our job easier, and it makes the industry as a whole better, because it's not just us saying, here's some technology, here's some things we think you should be doing. It's like, no, we're being told, like, this is what we think we should be doing. And I think that's really important. That's reflective of, again, the type of talent that are starting, I think, to gravitate to sports that are, product and technology is not something that is unfamiliar.
Yeah. So at a high level, you see more staffing, more digitally savvy employees being hired within the properties that you serve. Are there any challenges on the horizon? You can with onboarding, with, again, having, like, how do we get from here to where the future everyone has this great build out of staff that understands these experiences and technology in the way that, you know, we're talking. What are the challenges in the market? I'm just curious from your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously dealing with the furlough headwinds. You're looking at a reality where it's going to take time to recover economically for a lot of sports properties. You don't throw up a goose egg on the ticketing revenue for a year and recover quickly. And I think that's something we all struggle and sympathize with. It's extremely challenging to get through that. But we also know that with challenges of that magnitude come opportunities, right? And so I think those that embrace the challenge before us as an industry and sort of look beyond and look towards where the world is going from a product and a digital adoption perspective, those are the ones that are going to excel. I actually look to the Premier League and some things I've seen in Europe as a great example of that. Those are leagues that are, you know, age old in history and have been doing things relatively similar for a long time. And, you know, they weren't like the most digital first in a lot of cases. The pandemic forced the hand on that.
Yeah.
And I think it was a bit of a wake up. And I'm really, I would say, impressed with a lot of the Premier League teams that we work with who are kind of running with it and continuing to keep that going. And I guess, you know, my thought and hope is that the realities that we're all been dealing with in the sports industry of late are enough to keep everyone moving forward. And, you know, whether that's every team, who knows, but certainly there's a lot of teams that are keeping running with it. And
I think I'm with you. The best to me, the leaders that we're seeing that are leading into this and seeing, you know, this challenge is an opportunity. This point in time is a moment in time that I may not get back as a leader. I may not be able to make sweeping changes or bring in the business analytics talent I need or the tech talent I need or reformat our strategy. I in my opinion, you've got a little bit of a window to do whatever you want in some ways. Some teams are certainly leaning in that we work with or we're following the top 25 most innovative in teams sports report as an example. We did a lot of research on global teams, and to your point, some are moving hard. And you wouldn't in pre-pandemic, you know, everything's great on paper. Why would you rechange? You know, don't fix what's not broken, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the silver, hopefully the silver lining in all this.
Yeah. Yeah. Your point earlier about diversity and inclusion and talent and access to ideas, that just reminds me of in that top 25 report, one of the pillars that we looked at, one of the three pillars was, you know, organizational agility is what we called it, but it really was what you're speaking to. Do you have the people internally that have access to fresh ideas, whether it's an accelerator or an incubator, that have the talent that can understand technology, that look and think different? You know, no offense, just white guys. You know, they're
totally.
It's like, do you
absolutely?
Do you reflect your fan base? You know, and I'm curious just to hone in on that point a little bit more because you know, the world is changing and not everyone can understand tech or, you know, everyone's point of view, I guess is my point. And play on that a little bit, like what you were commenting on before.
Yeah. I mean, I was very much trying to communicate a sort of a dual message on diversity. I mean, I was focusing in on the sort of the product side, that there's a diversity of talent and skill sets. I think that's very important. I think traditionally skill sets were perhaps less diverse in sports. And, you know, I think that's really important. And for me, you know, that goes hand in hand with, and without saying, that also means diversity, you know, culturally, experientially, you know, the types of people you have should reflect your communities and your audiences, and you should be bringing those voices to the table. And I think that's extremely important. And, you know, I think technology is just sort of a channel or a means to deliver that diversity and deliver that sort of voice that is not just sort of one single take on things. And so, yeah, I'm hopeful that there's a continuation of this diversity shakeup on all levels, and that, you know, teams are embracing, and I think many are, that, you gotta reflect your community and where the world's at. And it doesn't mean everybody has to be, going back to the tech side, it doesn't mean everybody has to be, very technically focused, but you need to have the balance between the storytellers and the people who are sort of telling the brand, and then match that with the channels and the means to deliver that message. I think that's important.
It takes a team, as they say. We all have different roles, different perspectives, different talents. Put them together, and you got a powerful team at the end of the day. We're talking to John Coombs again, co-founder and CEO at Rover, who's been around for many, many years building this company. Again, as you've heard, they have a great solution on the market that, in my opinion, reduces resources required to really create some of the experiences that you may want. You don't need all these techies internally if you're working with Rover. Before we turn over to the 4 with 4 innovation segment, I'm curious, what's next for Rover? What do you see the market really around mobile fan engagement apps heading? Where are you headed? Where do you think the industry is headed?
I mean, as a business, we are actually going through a rebranding process, and probably by the time this podcast is out, we will be renamed and rebranded. The name of the company will be called Judo. So we're going from Rover to Judo. And the kind of a bit of the light backstory on Judo is one of the tenets of that martial art is maximum impact with minimal input, right? So being able to sort of leverage pivot points and leverage as a means to have a big outcome without a lot of effort. And that's really what we're all about, is empowering brands and teams to tell their story and not be hamstrung by technical barriers or time to deployment, because that just happens all too often. Great ideas just fall on the floor because they're difficult to execute on. So that's really where we're at, and we're very excited.
I love it.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. The product, with it, we're launching a major update to the product, which allows for a lot of the content that's delivered to be connected to APIs and be more programmatic. And one thing we both know in the world of sport is a lot of things are moving fast paced, lots of not a lot of bandwidth in season. So the more we can automate and make, turn on the easy button, as it were, I think we're going to continue to have more impact. And that's a theme that's really important for us, is, again, helping maximize the impact of what our product and our company can deliver, but minimize sort of the effort required to do that.
All right, Judo. John Coombs, the CEO and co-founder of Judo. I love it.
Have it.
That's a hard sport, by the way. I think it's fast. I've never done it. I've tried, someone learned a couple of moves, but if you can master that, to your point, small people can beat big people. It's all those, can you get the right hold and turn? And so I like the rebranding. What's the logo look like? I'm curious.
Well, it's kind of technical in its visual. It's really about empowering. It's a bit of a tool set. It's about sort of going from idea to design to execution, and sort of a Swiss Army knife, as it were, kind of. I don't know, I'm describing a logo, never an easy thing to do. Just go to judo.app, www.judo.app, and you can see the branding for yourself. And it's, we're really excited about it.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to turn it over now just to get your thoughts on innovation in general. 4 questions with number 4, where I ask your views on it. And that was my number. So I like to pick the highest level, but just to kick it off, what does innovation mean to you, John?
Well, I think going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's about being able to take ideas to, execution, and be able to fail fast and to iterate. So spending less time on getting it perfect and spending, more time on getting it out there, learning and iterating. I mean, that's something that's a fundamental tenet of any product or technology company. Test and learn, iterate, improve, refine. Don't build it all in one sort of big burst, put it out there and, wait for the results. Get your ideas out there and look at the data and iterate. I think that's a really important aspect of innovation.
Love it. Yeah. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule, right? Just get something, maybe not 80-20, but like just the iteration. You're saying you believe feedback is a gift, as they say, right? You gotta evolve as a result. All right, what's the most innovative person? You have someone that you look up to, listen to, just follow in general and social and in this industry?
It sounds kind of cliche and probably often mentioned, but I do really like Elon Musk for his over the top boldness. I think we need more of that. I think that it's important for people to just not think without barriers and why can't I do this, and spend more time thinking about, I want to do this and I think it should be this way, so I'm just going to do it.
Yeah.
Oftentimes I think we are our own worst enemy when it comes to trying to change the world or trying to improve something, because it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole of self-doubt. So thinking you can do everything, that old thing we were taught as kids, but sometimes we just don't carry through in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, he's not only changing one industry like cars.
Yeah,
He's changing like
the scope is broad.
Space exploration. Like what? That guy's just
it's next level stuff. And I just find it fascinating. You're creating, you're sort of, your minds, we think about international travel and frequent flyer miles, and he's like talking about interplanetary travel.
You're gonna go to Mars.
It's a different level of,
What does his calendar look like? That's someone I need to learn more from.
Yeah.
Do it all.
There will be a fascinating book that delves into that one day, I'm sure.
Totally. All right. Who's the most innovative company in sports tech? Is there a group? You can't say Rover or Judo. Now that you think has done a really good job in this space, or change the industry from just a tech perspective?
Yeah. I mean, I'm impressed with what's being done on the sort of second screen experience. This idea of changing the way we consume sports from a video and perspective. The idea of participatory and being able to just change how we view games. I think that's really interesting, and I'll give a tip of the hat to Mihir on that one, because they're doing some great stuff. So I like that. I like that area. I think changing how we view sports is just a lot of opportunity. Live, like, obviously doing a lot of cool stuff there.
All right. Shout out to a fellow board member, Mihir. Hopefully you're hearing this. I agree. I love Live Like, and just this co-watching, having more functionality as a consumer. I definitely think they're
I also think there's just so much more. Like, we're only scratching the surface in that sort of particular area. So I'm really bullish on it and eager to see where it goes.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up. Just with what you're doing, what Mihir is doing. We wrote a report with FIFA. The Future in Your Hands is the name of the report. We did it with FIFA, and it's literally just about the smartphone. And we spend so much time talking about, AR and VR and all these new technologies. And like, we all have a phone. Like, we all obsess and sleep with our phone basically now. And just this whole conversation, adding to your point with Live Like, it's there. And let's not forget, there's like so much upside, new opportunities. You put it earlier in this conversation. Then let's start from scratch and create a new behavior, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Most innovative team, league, federation. I know you've got 100 partners and groups you work with. So this is a hard one.
I alluded to this one.
Who's your favorite child?
I alluded to this one earlier, and I do, part of being innovative is recognizing, obviously, a need for change. And I alluded to the Premier League and what a lot of those teams are doing. I think it's very difficult when you've been a team or you've been a league since, in the 1800s, it's a long time, a lot of history, a lot of baggage, if you will. And it's challenging. The more history you have, the harder it is to break out and be this innovator on the block. I mean, it's, I commend a lot of the new teams and new leagues for what they've been able to do, but they're not dealing with 150 years of, it's been done this way. And so I'm going to kind of go and say that I've been impressed with how a lot of Premier League teams and generally the league itself has broken out on the digital front.
Yep.
In a world where, traditionally that's been very hard to do because,
Yep.
we know our British fans are a little bit stubborn with some things. So it's nice to see what's happening there. So I'll give a tip of the hat to the Premier League.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard to undo behaviors and habits, but they're certainly moving. I mean, half of our teams were international football clubs, but Premier League had a nice showing in that report. So great insights, John. Thank you so much for coming on the Fluid Fan podcast, for being a part of our leadership board, for what you guys are building over at Judo. Any closing thoughts before we wrap this podcast to our listeners?
Other than I want to give a tip of the hat to you, Angela, and to Sports Innovation Lab. You guys are doing great stuff. Being a good voice to move this industry forward. So keep it up, and thanks for having me. It was great chatting today.
Appreciate it. And even though you're Canadian, we're tight, right? We're good friends, Sharon.
Yeah, we just won't talk. We won't talk.
We'll talk hockey. Anytime I meet a Canadian, I can't help it. I love Canadians are like the nicest people in the world, as everyone knows. But if you're a hockey player, for some reason, there's like this, that's my history. You know that, right?
I absolutely, and it's to be expected. We respect fierce competition on the ice.
I love it. Yeah, you respect your competitor.
Of course,
anyway, it's been fun. Can't wait to see you in person. And again, best of luck. Thanks again for your insights today. And John Coombs, again, the CEO and co-founder of Judo. Once again, I would love to thank John Coombs, the CEO and co-founder of the newly branded, you heard it here, Judo. So if you're looking at Rover, check out their website. Extremely excited for him and the rest of the team for this rebranding. Check it out at www.judo.app. Again, to learn how John and his team are going to continue to innovate around the fan experience. We love anyone that's thinking about the fan experience and using technology to execute on that vision. So thanks again to John. Thanks again to my producer, Jack Barlow. You are the best. Been really doing a lot for us in terms of visibility in the market. So want to give you a huge shout out and your team. I know it takes a team doing well in life. We've been at it 4+ years. Thank you to my listeners who, again, are here with us, learning about the Fluid Fan, leaning into the Fluid Fan, changing their business models, changing the way they think, using this podcast among many resources to affect change, to be the change you wish to see in the world, which is one of my favorite quotes by Gandhi. So hopefully you're getting a little influence here, a little inspiration from us. If you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to our show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Anchor, anywhere that you can find podcasts. Happy to announce that we are airing our shows on YouTube now. So if you actually want to see my face or watch, if you're not just going for a walk, listen to this podcast, check out our YouTube channel to find the full length video episodes. So again, check out all of our research. If you want to learn more, sportsilab.com. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time we get to spend together. Until next time, I'm Angela Ruggiero. See you on the Fluid Fan podcast.